Okay, here we go. Hey YouTube, it's time to record. Welcome back to the Don't Stop Me Now podcast, where being negative can be a good thing and being positive can turn the world against you. Hello, I'm your HIV positive host, Miss Jennifer Louise Vaughn, and this is episode 120. How is everybody doing today? It's a beautiful sunny fall morning / afternoon because we have daylight savings. I was wondering why I felt so freaking refreshed at 6:45 this morning. I'm like, something's off. And then Owen reminded me we had daylight savings, and I'm like, we got the extra hour. No wonder. So yes, it feels good to have that extra hour, but it's going to be dark. It's going to be dark early, and that always feels weird. I have been falling asleep so early lately because of just in general, because it's getting darker earlier. And I don't know if most people feel that, but I'm not kidding. Like at 6:45 at night, I'll be sitting there watching TV or whatever with Owen. But I'm like, I could literally go to bed right now. And it's getting kind of colder. It's like this whole cozy feeling. And it's weird. Like I've gone to bed at like 8:30. I can't even believe I've done that. And then I get like 10 hours of sleep, which is insane. But God, it feels good. And I wake up and I have to go to the bathroom. And then I got the cutest nightlight. It's the coolest thing ever off a TikTok shop. It glows. It's sensory. So when you walk into your bathroom, it lights up this pattern on the floor that's sort of like stars and like circles, and it changes colors. After it's illuminated, it also puts color inside your toilet, which I don't know why you need to see what's going on in your toilet in the middle of the night, but it changes from like green to blue to purple to red, and it's just really subtle. And when it's cold in your house in the middle of the night and you have to use the restroom, it's kind of nice to have that little warm light that turns on without any effort, and it doesn't make you like wake up. So it came to me with shipping and everything, taxes and all that, for under 20. I think it was like maybe 19 something or 18 something, but I love it. I love little finds like that. It really, like, just, I don't know, little things like that make me so happy. So yeah, nightlight in the middle of the night. My point was is that, yeah, sometimes I have to get up and go pee, and then I just can't wait to lay down and go back to bed. And then I look at my clock and it's not 4 in the morning, it's 1 in the morning. And I'm like, oh my God, I have so much more time to sleep. Best feeling ever. I'm addicted to sleep. I really am. I love it so much. So yeah, I'll probably be going to bed early tonight, considering it's going to be darker even earlier. So we'll see. Yeah, but sometimes I'm like looking at the clock going, how the hell am I going to stay up for 2 more hours? Like, I feel sleep upon me. It's our circadian rhythm, and you can feel it. Like, it's just all of a sudden you kind of feel a little, it's in your head, it's in your body. It's just this, it's that feeling of like, yeah, I kind of want to go to bed. So, anyways, so that's been going on for the last few weeks. I'm better, if you can hear. I don't have a cold anymore, so yeah, that's over and done with, and hopefully I won't get sick again for another good amount of time. I'm just over being sick. My kitty got sick. My Benny boy got sick. Started with a goopy eye that went to his other eye, and then the I brought him into the vet just to get terramycin. That's all I wanted, just to treat the eyeball. But then the doctor's like, well, we should do this stain to make sure that he didn't scratch his cornea, because the terramycin can actually make it worse. And it's like, he didn't scratch his eye. He's got goop in both his eyes. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's an infection. Like, I'm not going to pay for a stain. And then there was something else that went along with it, and it was like it was going to bring the bill to almost $300. And I'm like, so I talked to the lady, that brings in the estimate, and said, I don't want to do the stain. I just want the terramycin. So we get the terramycin. Great. I'm putting this stuff in his eyes, and it's kind of clearing it up after I do it. But then like 24 hours later, it's kind of back again. It's like, Jesus, what's going on? So then I look online about upper respiratory infections, which are really common when cats are amongst a lot of cats. And I mean, I do have cats here, but like none of them are sick. So I don't understand how Benny got this, but he definitely had an upper respiratory infection, because there was little droplets of like red on the floor. So he's sneezing, a little bit of bloody snot. But in general, like, he wasn't making a lot of like coughing. He wasn't coughing at all, actually. Sneezing very little, just a little bit, but acting like a total meatloaf. And this is my cat he's overweight. When I brought him in for the eye stuff, he was just over 20 pounds. And so I thankfully was able to get him in yesterday, which is a Saturday appointment, and they treated him with erythromycin and like literally first dose because he had a little fever. He wasn't acting right. Like he was walking, his gait was off. He looked like, at first I thought maybe he'd injured his arm or his back leg. Like I couldn't even tell what was going on. He just was not walking right. And he was sleeping in different spots of the house and not moving. Like, I don't know, like when their behavior's different. Like he was just acting like a meatloaf, and he was hiding in the garage in a spot like underneath, like these behind, like just in a hidden spot. Like it took me a while to find him. So he definitely wasn't feeling good. But within one dose of that erythromycin, I swear within 45 minutes, he was cleaning himself. He was acting totally different. Like that's all he needed. But basically online it said that upper respiratory infections, are viruses, even though it says infection. But okay, infections usually take antibiotics, but they say online that they clear up within like 3 weeks. But he was getting worse after 3 weeks, so brought him in, got the antibiotics. It's doing its thing. Thank God it's not pneumonia. And he lost a pound. He lost a freaking pound. So their suggestion for me on how to get Benny to lose weight, and Olive, because his sister has she's got a pooch too. When they run, their stomachs flop back and forth. It's endearing. It's really sweet, but I don't want him to be unhealthy. So the way to do it, there's two ways. I can either put Sky's the one that doesn't have a weight issue, and Toby doesn't either. I could literally feed Toby outside, and then Benny would never. Well, Toby basically likes wet food, so it's really the dry food is what I need to limit for Benny and Olive, and to get them, I have to restrict them some. So the solution is to make a box with a hole in it that's only big enough for Sky to get through, which is going to be basically impossible because Sky won't even use a litter box. He's the one that won't go in the litter box. So he's not going to go inside of a hole in a box to eat his food. He just won't do it. There's no way. And then that way Benny and Olive couldn't get in. It's like you just put a hole for the skinny cat basically, and the fat cats can't get into it. And then you feed the fat cats, what it says on the bag as far as like what they should be eating daily, and then gradually they can lose like maybe even a pound a week, not a week, a month. You don't want to completely restrict them. He said you don't want to, because they can go into liver failure. He told me if you do like really like insane restrictions. I'm like, why would I do that? Like I want him to, like, it's so hard to not feed him. I love him. I want him to be happy and purring and eating whenever he wants. But I've never had a problem with cats free feeding until I had Benny and Olive, and they both are definitely a little, he's more overweight than she is, but he's a big cat in general. Like his feet are huge, and I always knew he was going to be big. So the fat Benny that came along with his big feet just felt like it goes with his, like his paw size. It feels like it's right for him, but they say he should be about 15 pounds. So he needs to lose like 4 more pounds. Okay, so the box method ain't going to work. The other one is to get a feeder that is programmed with their microchip, and it only releases food to the cat you know what I mean? You set it up with a microchip, and like Benny and Olive would only get food during certain times of the day in their bowl. But like, how, like, this is not it's easier said than done. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this, because that food's gonna, and I've seen TikToks where the cats just go crazy running for, they hear that food released in the bowl, and they sprint for the food because they're starving. But I don't know if that would work. Maybe it would. But again, that's going to cost me some money. I don't know what those feeders cost. I'd have to look it up. But I just feel like still, Benny's, well, he'd be right there because it only goes with his microchip. So yeah, that would probably work. So I'm going to look into that. Speaking of food, I have to say, I have a few food items I want to go over. I was at my after school program, and someone had left 2 dozen boxes, 2 dozen donuts, whatever, 2 boxes, 1 dozen each, stacked on each other, in the our office area. And, they're pink boxes. They're flatter. They're like the Krispy Kreme shaped boxes. But anyways, yeah, there's nothing like a donut box. Like, what's inside? Oh, and anyways, I went to go open it up, and then I asked my coordinator, I said, oh, are these for somebody or are these for us? Like, because I wasn't sure. Sometimes it was like a staff table, so I thought maybe they were for us. She said, oh, no, no, no. Kristen bought them for her class. So I asked Kristen, who she grew up with my daughter. She's like 21. She works at our after school program. I asked her what those donuts cost, because I just had in my head that they were maybe about $40, and I felt like I was exaggerating with that just to see what she would say. She goes, are you ready for this? Are you sitting down? 2 dozen donuts, $70. $70. $35 a box. Each donut was $3. What? This is dough. This is dough and sugar. You know what it costs to make those donuts? Probably 50 cents. Like $70. She said they rang it up. And she said, by the way, she was, well, so because she was shocked too, obviously. And, thankfully she lives at home. So, I mean, this is like a treat she gave her kids at the after school program. She was almost going to say no to it, but they'd already rang it up, and she saw it on the receipt and she almost fell over. She was like, oh my God. But she said, they were out of just like the regular donuts. These were a little bit more specialty. Like they had Halloween sprinkles on them or whatever. They were like orange frosting or whatever. So they were more like festive, and they went with the holiday, but still, when you like think visually in your head, 2 dozen donuts and spending $70, I just can't. I can't. No. That's like going to McDonald's and spending $70 for your family to eat dinner. Like, this just isn't, it's just crazy what everything costs today. So I was blown away by that. Halloween candy also went up, and I know people who decided not to buy Halloween candy this year just because it was so expensive. I went with the non-chocolate, like Swedish fish packets and Sour Patch Kids. I don't know. I spent under $15 a bag. It said they had 200 pieces per bag, so 400 pieces altogether. My neighborhood is a zoo at Halloween. I handed out all of my candy. I mean, I didn't count the bags ahead of time to see if I actually had 200 per bag, but it kind of felt like it. It was gone in an hour. Like, the thing that's most shocking is that I gave out 400. There was 400 trick-or-treaters in an hour. 400. Like, that's a lot of kids. But our houses are close together here in this neighborhood. People come from all over because of the layout, because it's a very festive neighborhood as well. There's always a lot going on down the street. We have some very nice people that are, I don't know why I always say this, but they're Christians, and it's a kind of a church related thing that they do, because I think they have other fellow people from their church that help do this, but they give out free hot dogs and hot chocolate. Like, they cut the hot dogs in half, but literally anybody that walks up can get hot chocolate and free hot dogs, and they probably want you to come to their church, but I don't know. But they're really, really nice. So anyways, it's like, this neighborhood is super, super fun for Halloween, that's for sure. So and then we tried to go downtown Santa Cruz. I basically cut it off when the candy was gone, and I just said, all right, that's it. It's a wrap. Shut the door, turn the light off on the porch, and then we drove, me, my daughter Joey, her girlfriend Sam, Owen, and we picked up their dad, and we drove to Santa Cruz. There was construction on the freeway to get to Santa Cruz. Normally Santa Cruz takes, without traffic from my house, about 20 minutes. Took us an hour to get there. So, we already had left, I don't know, we finally hit Santa Cruz around 9 o'clock. And and then there was a cop that had basically parked himself in the fast lane to make everybody merge. It's 2 lanes, to make everybody merge into 1 lane, just to slow shit down. And by the time we got to like where the merge was, he just drove off. I'm like, I get they're trying to like control traffic and vote. Such a nightmare. So it took us an hour to get to Santa Cruz. We get there, there's no parking. There's like basically 3 major parking structures downtown. They were all full, lot full, lot full, lot full. So we drove around. We could see Pacific Ave, which is like the main drag in Santa Cruz. It's the downtown area. It was a mob scene, but it's probably, it's just all college kids dressed up and probably on drugs. And you know, drunk. And to tell you the truth, I couldn't really care less about seeing any more costumes. So, and I was getting tired. It was now 9:15. I was ready for bed. So I just said, I'm so sorry. We just drove home, and yeah, that was that. So anyways, and then I wanted to share a non apostrophe an apostrophe an non bread recipe, and I'll put pictures on YouTube so you can see it. I eat this on the regular, and I'm telling you, I could open a restaurant and sell this shit. It is delicious. Like, it's so good. All the flavors together, just, I can't explain it. It's the best. You know, when certain flavors you put them together and it's just like, wow, that all makes sense. So good. So, okay, non-bread. It's that Indian bread. It's about this big, right? Showing with my hands on YouTube. I throw one of those in the microwave. My microwave's really weak, so it's a dorm microwave because my microwave that goes above my stove pooped out. So I put that in there for 30 seconds. What it does is it makes that bread real, like, it's the texture. I like it this way, and it makes it more flexible, but it makes it more like rubbery. Okay, so it's like rubbery and it's warm, and then I spread hummus on it. My hummus that I like is from Target. It's their brand. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just their regular hummus. It's got like a yellow label, and it's a little garlicky. Like, theirs is really good. Then I sprinkle. If you're Hispanic and you speak Spanish, you call it tajin. If you're white like me, you say tajin. It's Tajin. It's a chili lime salt that, you know, people in my town put it on fruit, and I like it on my scrambled eggs. You know, I like it on fruit too, but I just sprinkle that on the hummus. Okay, following, and then I take a cucumber. I would prefer an English cucumber over a regular. I just think they're better. Slice that, you know, fairly thin. Doesn't have to be too thin, and that's going to go on one side. And then some, like, I use cherry tomatoes, but I've been getting the ones out of my garden because they're so damn good. Slice those in half, maybe like two, I don't know, three, because it gets a little messy, so you don't want to overload it. Slice those in half, throw those on the other side. Now, this is the main thing that you need to get: arugula. I get it at Trader Joe's. Arugula is an amazing flavor for like a lettuce. It just has this bite to it. It's so delicious. I pack a lot of that in there. I throw a lot of it, and then I fold the whole thing like a taco. And it is messy. I guarantee it's a little messy. You have to kind of like pinch one end of it while you're taking a bite so it doesn't fall out at the other end. It's heaven. I promise you, it's heaven. You have to make this. You will die. And I get the non-bread at Costco right now. I don't know. Everybody's Costco is different, but they sell it like, I think there's, shit, I don't even know. There's probably 12 pieces for like under $5. It's a really good deal. They have it on sale right now. It was like $4.59 or something for a double pack. And I bought two of those double packs, and I just put one in the freezer and I'll eat it later because Owen's on to me now and he likes this too. So I highly recommend it. It's so delicious. Okay, let me get into, it's really funny. My brother sent me two different logos that were like, it's very rock and roll looking, like almost like someone took a black pen and just wrote up and down, like scribbled up and down, but it made like a series of letters. And I think it was the name of a band. And one of them was called Viral Load. And the other one was called, it was like infectious, or was it undetectable? No, it wouldn't have been that. I just remember the viral load one. The other one had something to do. By the way, viral load, like literally most HIV particles are in semen. Like, that's where the majority of it is, like, for real. Like, it's not in women's wetness. It's basically really, come on now. It's mainly in semen. So, I mean, just the fact that they call it the viral load, like, it correlates. Yeah, the virus is in that freaking load. Like, beware of the load, if you get what I mean. So they named that right. I know viral load goes with other, you know, viruses as well. It's not just HIV, because they talk about viral loads and hepatitis and stuff like that. But we just hear it all the time, and it's just it's a weird term. I mean, I've been saying it for, I don't even know, almost 9 years now, but it does sound a little weird. Like, I have a load of virus in my body, but I literally don't, because, you know, I'm undetectable. But still, viral load. And I will get into my medication, and I have another study that I wanted to share. Just real quickly about boys and I kind of like embarrassed that I called him my favorite for so long, but that whole thing's over. We didn't technically end anything. There just hasn't been any communication. I asked for my earrings back, and he like responded that his ex was over with her kids. I'm just like, I'm so over you and your situation. Just you don't contact me anymore. I didn't say that, but in my head, I'm like, whatever. Like, this is the same girl that you told me if you stayed with her, you'd end up killing yourself. Okay, whatever. Like, your mom literally said if you go back with her, she won't talk to you anymore. Your friends have all said if you go back with her, they won't talk to you anymore. And it's not just her that's the problem, it's him. He's a problem. He doesn't have anything going on with his life. And yeah, I don't know what sucked me in. I'm quite embarrassed that I actually was sucked in for so long. I'm stepping back now and I can see the whole picture now. And it's like, oh my God, what was I doing? Like, it's so embarrassing. Like, it really is. And yeah, so I'm totally over it. I feel like I'd be fine just being celibate at this point. I told my girlfriend, I'm done. Like, I'm just done. I'm done with men in general. I'm not on the dating apps or anything. I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, I don't know. I feel just completely content in my life with my animals, my kids. I've talked about this before. My ex-husband being in my life, he's family, and just doing this kind of stuff. Like, if I dated anybody seriously, would they be good with me talking about HIV all the time on the internet? Probably not. So yeah, I'm married to my social media, which I don't even do a lot of, to tell you the truth. I mean, someone wrote to me on TikTok recently and said, why don't you do TikToks anymore? I'm like, well, because for one thing, TikTok doesn't show them, and I'm kind of just over it. I'm over it. I mean, I think a lot of people who have got sucked in by TikTok are starting to see that it's not a moneymaker or anything. And people were addicted to the attention, but the algorithms change, and then they don't get that attention. I mean, I was sucked in too. And then they just are like, what's happening? Did I do something wrong? They get in their head about it. Like, even big content creators. There's this one girl, Lick, I can't think of her name. She's blonde. She's in New York. She always talks about dating. She's very funny. She just says it like it is. I don't remember her name, but she's good. I've been following her for a long time. She even said, with the way TikTok is today, like, I am considering, what did she say? Something about like going after a guy that's already in a relationship just so I have content, so I can have something, because she goes, I need to pay the rent. She was like I can't even pay the rent. So yeah, people are making up stuff also. I mean, I don't think she's really going to do that, but there are people who just make up stories on TikTok to make it look like this is what really happened, for content, for views. I mean, it's like, that's a lot of what TikTok is, and people are so gullible, and it drives me crazy. It's like, dude, that didn't really happen. Like, why are you guys also like, that was set up. That like whole thing was set up. Like, there's a lot of like pranks, and where people they act surprised. It's like, oh my God, or people tell stories, and you can tell like what they're saying is like, it's made up. So I'm a little over TikTok. But you know what? Oh my God, do you know what I love? Love is Blind. I won't get into a lot of it because I just know that most people don't. Well, I don't know who watches it. It's definitely a girl type show. There probably aren't many guys who watch it. But they did the reunion, and I have to say that I liked the reunion. I don't know. There's a lot of people on TikTok. There's specific like content creators who go off, and they go off in such a way that they point out all the little things that I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of was annoying, but I didn't like really realize that at the time. And they will like intensely critique these little moments from the show and how it should have been and what should have been said and what we really wanted to hear. I could listen to these TikToks, I swear, all day long. It feeds something in me. It feeds this happy feeling in me to hear these creators say what I am thinking, but kind of like it slipped my mind while I was watching it or whatever. Or there are things that I noticed that I was like, God, I wish they talked about that. Like, oh, what's her name? Oh gosh, Tiffany. Is it Tiffany? Ashley and Tyler. That whole storyline, if you watched it. So he has 3 kids. It came out on the show that he had donor babies, is what he called them. He legitimately had sex with a woman and made babies and stepped in as a father role and has pictures of himself with his kids like at JCPenney. But he called them donor babies. During the show, she asked, do they know what you look like? And he said he wasn't sure, but that was a lie. And then apparently it was an orchestrated lie that she and him had come up with while they were going to film. So she knew that he was in their life. But then when they went to film it, they came up with this constructed lie for what, I don't even know why, so that the kids can feel bad when they see this someday. And he says he doesn't even know if they know what he looks like when he's literally in their lives. So yeah, because the mother of the children's been all over TikTok, and she's said that he has had zero contact with the kids since like September 2023, which means that's when Ashley came into his life. And Ashley's sitting back doing all these like cutesy like Christmas pajama photo things on Instagram, and she's just, super happy. She's got this man in her life. She did marry him. They're just in total bliss. Yet he is an absent father now, and that was not addressed. And like it looks bad. It looks bad on both of their parts. Like gross. The whole thing is gross. So yeah, it's like a firestorm on TikTok with regards to like him and what a like deadbeat daddy is now. So I'm just eating all of that up. And yeah, the whole Hannah thing and Nick, and I did not like her. I have to say she looked incredible. She said she didn't do Ozempic. She lost 70 pounds. Her face looks totally different. Like the girl lost weight, but apparently people are saying, no, it's Ozempic. You have no muscle tone. You did nothing to like, you didn't work out. Like, so people get such shit for doing Ozempic. It's funny. It's like, I mean, it works. It just makes you not eat, I guess. But yeah, she looked good. I think she came onto that show on the reunion ready to flaunt herself and have everybody go, oh, and you look amazing. But really, there's been just awful feedback because she's actually really, really mean to this guy, Nick, who never outwardly said to her that he wasn't attracted to her. He said in confidence to his friends that she was a grenade, which I'd never heard that term before, but I guess it means like, I don't know. Like, what's the inference? He wasn't attracted to her. A grenade. She's ugly. I don't know. But he wasn't into her looks when he saw her at the reveal. By the way, the show is where they're in these pods where they can't see each other for like, I don't know, up to 3 weeks or something like that. And they have these dates and they get to know each other through the pods. But again, they haven't seen each other. They're not allowed to talk about their physical appearance, like what they kind of look like, height, weight, nothing. And then some of them choose to say, will you marry me? And then they have this big reveal and the wall comes up and they're at opposite ends of the room and they meet each other in the middle. And sometimes it's super goddamn awkward. And they're like, oh shit, you don't look anything like I thought. And you're not what I typically like, but I think I'll go with it. We'll see what happens. Or they're just like completely smitten. They're like, oh, are you kidding me? Yes, love this. You're so hot. This is what I wanted. Nick got some shit because Hannah had looked through his diary and found that he had some manifestation notes about before he'd gone on the show. And one of them was to become the most famous guy that's ever been on Love is Blind. So she found that note and then put it all over social media and said, he only did this for that. Well, like, and then, but yet she's on TikTok making all these TikToks after the show and trying to become, internet famous herself. So they all have a sense of wanting to use this notoriety to make money through social media. They all do. Of course, there's none of them that aren't on social media showing pictures of their life, trying to get brand deals, trying to like, be famous. They all are. Of course, people want fame because what comes with fame is money. And, you don't have to work. I mean, you just show yourself on the internet and you get some money and, it's chill. It's pretty easy, except for all the freaking feedback because Hannah is being destroyed on TikTok. People aren't really saying anything about her looks. They're just saying she's really ugly inside because she was really mean to this guy. Like she just was constantly belittling him. And so anyway, Hannah and Nick. Yeah. Anyways, Love is Blind. Okay. I don't know. What should I start with? I'll start with, or I'll just go to my comments, and then I'll talk about this study: 4 days on, 3 days off treatment regimen. It looks effective after 2 years. This is from a conference in, I think this is the one in France. Let me just confirm. This was done in March 2021. So it's an old article, but it, obviously it's not gonna, the results wouldn't change just because I'm talking about it 3 years later. I will get into that in a second. Let me just go over some comments really quick. Let's see. Okay. This is from Kagyaku Angel. Kagayaku Angel. 5828. I'm going to start with this one because she said, "You're 54, girl. You're gorgeous. LOL. I thought you were maybe 43. LOL. You're aging gracefully." So thank you. I'm going in one more week. Tomorrow marks 1 week until I get to get my Botox. I haven't had it since early June. July, August, September, October, November. That's 5 months. It's all gone. Like, this is no Botox at all. But the fine lines are all coming back. Well, they're back. And it's funny because you can feel when the muscle releases, and that's the Botox fading away. Anybody who does Botox knows what I'm talking about. It's a sad feeling. It's sad. It's like, no, don't go away. So yeah, I can't wait to get all the injections and feel my face feel a little frozen again. It feels awesome. I love it. I just love Botox. I think it's the best. Someone put a sauna in the moonlight question mark. I don't know what that meant. I just liked it. Let's see. Is a negative or a quick for HIV at 41 days conclusive? Or should I retest? This is, of course, from a hetero dude, I'm sure. Well, 4 to 6 weeks. So 41 days is 5.5 weeks. So you're right in that like window. If you're really freaking out, do it after 6 weeks. Do it again. Loved by Ya says holidays are okay, meaning holidays for medication are okay within reasonable context. People are just doing too much. You'll still be, and she put undelete. She meant undetectable. I love you, girly. Love you too. And then she says, miss you. How have you been? I'm good. I'm good. Misty Diane says, I've been told the phrase person of color isn't appropriate. I only know because my friend said it to another Black castmate and it turned into a whole thing on Teen Mom. Agree to disagree and move on with your life. Hell, I don't know. I'm trying to do what's right. I'm like, I don't want to say a Black woman. So I said person of color thinking that's right. I know Misty Diane's just like, yeah, she thinks the same way I do. It's like we just don't want to offend anybody, and like I need a booklet on what I should be saying. There are many types, kinds, and sizes of curls, and your hair is absolutely curly. Thank you. Someone else wrote something really funny. Hold on. Someone asked, what side effects do you experience during these past 9 years? Please answer. I just said none. I mean, except for when I was on Triumac, I did have that little headache and stomach ache like an hour after I took it. Not always, but sometimes. And that was from the back of your. Now that I'm on Dovato, which has been like a solid, I think it's been like 6 years now, 5 or 6. I don't have any side effects, none. Joel K 2575 says Jennifer. And I thought he was serious when I read this. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? He says, you need to say that you have ringlety hair. Do not say curly, wavy, frizzy, or crinkly. Any of those words are actually highly offensive and quite frankly disgusting in the 21st century. I was like, what? And then I read the next line. He says, everyone knows that. It's just the way it is. Sorry. And then he put, haha, kidding. I'm like, okay. Thank goodness he was kidding. Let's see. Haley, I hope you're fine. My question is, if someone tested negative and with a 4th generation antibody antigen test post 6 weeks from single brief exposure, of course this is a dude, with a woman, is it considered to be conclusive? Yes. Or is there a chance that it will turn positive later on, considering no exposure after that specific exposure? 4th generation is basically conclusive. They say at 2 weeks because of the antigen, but like totally conclusive at 18 days. It's looking for this protein. That's the antigen. If it's not there, then you don't have it. So yes, 6 weeks is well beyond the 18 days. Yeah, you don't need to test again. Hey, hello, Jen. I have a quick question, if you don't mind. Is HIV blood test accurate after 58 days? That's 2 months from having unprotected sex. I'm negative, but just curious. This is from Joe. More than likely, Joe is hetero, because that's all. Like I'm telling you, like that's my clientele. That's who reaches out to me. By the way, I do offer that service if anybody wants to, have me talk to them about their risk. It's through my Instagram. The links are in my bio here. It's $20 if you're really freaking out about your results or wanting to know what your risk is. I've been doing this for a long time. I've never been wrong, and I'm not a doctor diagnosing anybody. I'm just talking to you about risk. And again, it's 90% hetero men that reach out to me. That's who my clientele is. So anyways, what did he say? 58 days. Yeah. Yes, it's negative. Jesus. I am negative. Still, I wish you marry me, dear. You are so beautiful and your mind is smart. My mind is smart. Thank you. I'm not interested in getting married, but thanks. So, what else was I going to say? This person says, I'm just so scared that I was infected 5 years ago. I can no longer function. I don't eat. I don't sleep. I no longer have any social contacts. Are you serious? I even separated from my wife. I don't want to live anymore. Well, by the way, this person is not infected. I have 2 negative lab tests, but my syphilis rapid tests always come back false positive. I don't know anything about that. I have read that HIV could be the reason. But you have 2 negative lab tests. Like what? And more than likely that's the RNA PCR test, which is conclusive at like 1 to 2 weeks from exposure. I think I have HIV, N or P. I don't even know what that means. And the routine tests don't show it. No, it's either there or it's not. I just don't know where I can get tested for it anymore. This is from Bern D. Lorenz. 7489. You don't need to test anymore, dude. You don't have it. Like, there's these people. They're hypochondriacs. You know what? It's not hyperchondriac. I always thought it was hyper. It's hypochondriac. But that makes me feel like that would be somebody who isn't complaining that much. Hyper sounds like somebody that's always complaining. I gotta look that up. But I swear that was like a aha for me. I always thought it was hyperchondriac. Hypochondriac. What does it say? A hypochondriac, also known as someone with illness anxiety disorder or health anxiety, is someone who has an intense and long-term fear of having a serious medical condition. They may worry that minor symptoms indicate a serious illness. They may frequently check their body for signs of illness. They may frequently visit doctors or make medical appointments. They may avoid people, places, or activities for fear of health risks. They may obsessively look at health information on the internet or in the media. They may have trouble focusing on anything other than worrying about being very sick. Hypochondria is a chronic condition that can be diagnosed and treated by a medical professional. Treatments may include counseling, which I recommend to a lot of people who reach out to me, medications such as antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications, cognitive behavioral therapy, which can help people learn to recognize and understand the false beliefs that set off their anxiety. Hypochondria can have a significant impact on the healthcare system, leading to unnecessary medical tests and consultations. And also, it's like hypochondriacs have like an OCD for this. Like they go down these rabbit holes, and they just, even though they hear what I'm telling them, they still they believe it in the moment, but then it's like it fades and they just go back to this rabbit hole. It's it for the most part, it probably needs more of like a mental health diagnosis, and people need to see like counselors for it. But I'm not going to say that it hasn't been a million times where people have contacted, not a million, but a lot of times where people have contacted me and feel total relief after they've talked to me, and they do believe what I'm telling them, and they do believe that their tests are conclusive, and they're like, okay, what you've told me is exactly what my doctor told me. Like, this was a 0 risk exposure, like it's, stuff like that. And so I kind of back up whatever their doctor has said or whatever their test results say, or they haven't gone to test yet. And so I have to encourage them to test just so they can see that it's negative. Because a lot of times they'll reach out to me and the exposure is it's not a legitimate exposure, but they don't understand how HIV is spread. So they just have like these false ideas. And then if you go onto Reddit, which I highly recommend not doing because there's tons of false information on there, and it's a bunch of worry warts all talking to each other. It's just, yeah, I will not, I refuse to get involved in any other Reddit discussions. People will send me like screenshots from Reddit, and I'm just like, yep, let them. I can't. I'm not dealing with that. Like, I'm not. They're just too much. They're nonstop, like freaking out, and it's yeah. But if they want to come to me one on one, I'd be happy to help. $20, and I will help you. Okay, moving on to the article. It's called 4 Days On, 3 Days Off Treatment Regimen Still Looks Effective After 2 years. So taking antiretroviral medication 4 consecutive days each week, followed by a 3-day break, maintained viral suppression as well as a daily regimen. So it worked the same. My doctor has told me about that. And just, was like, be careful, don't promote that. But like, it is a thing. It has been studied. And I mean, I have the information right here from this conference and the study that was done. According to 96-week follow-up results presented last week at the virtual conference on retroviruses and opportunistic infections, or otherwise known as CROI, CROI. In the era of effective antiretroviral therapy, efforts are underway to enable people with HIV to take medications less often. Researchers are exploring new approaches that involve treatment once weekly. That's what we're hoping for with the oral. Once monthly. This is done before Cabenuva was every 2 months, or even less frequently, which would be referring to like Sunlenca, which is every 6 months. An older approach, piloted more than a decade ago, involves taking treatment breaks every week, resulted from the FOTO study presented in 2009. Found 5 days of treatment followed by 2 days off each week maintain viral suppression in people with efavirenz. I don't know how to say that. EFA. I always feel like I should be able to say this, but I can't. Efavirenz? EFAVIRENZ based regimens. Likewise, the Breather study found that taking treatment breaks on weekends worked well for adolescents and young adults. It's psychological. I talked about this on my Instagram story like last week. Not taking the medication every day, because it does feel like there's this like monster breathing down your neck when you have to take it every day, that you have to be so like chained to this medication. When just while I've been taking this break, I feel almost like it's gone. Like I don't have this monster breathing down my back, that I could just, feel like myself again. I do. It makes me feel like it's just almost gone. Like I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to think of myself as, having to put something in my mouth every day to stop the monster from creeping up. If that makes sense. It is psychological. And I've never felt that relief, or really knew that I needed that relief, until I started doing this. And then I was like, God, it does feel good psychologically to not take this shit every day. It does. And that's probably why for young adults, that was good for them to not take it on the weekends. The QUATOR study, Quator study, sponsored by the French National HIV Research Agency, ANRS, went a step further, asking whether people with an undetectable viral load can maintain viral suppression while taking medications just 4 days a week. If successful, this approach would not only give people breaks from treatment, it could also reduce the cost of therapy by about 40%. A non-randomized pilot study showed that this approach maintained viral suppression in 96% of participants for 48 weeks. So that's, almost a year, setting the stage for a larger randomized trial. This open label trial included more than 600 adults with viral suppression below 50 copies for at least a year. No evidence of drug resistance, and a CD4 count of above 250. More than 80% were men. Not shocking. They were probably all gay. The median age was 49 years, and the median CD4 count was nearly 700. So this is kind of like me. It's like I'm, undetectable. I'm not even like under 20 copies. I'm just not even, it doesn't even show up. I have no evidence of drug resistance. My CD4 is like in the 600 range. I'm 54. So yeah, this kind of like is my group. except for the fact that they were mostly all men. They had been on treatment for a median of about 7 years. That's me. I've definitely been on it for, this year will be 9, or I'm in my 9th year, with viral suppression for a median of about 6 years. I've had viral suppression, 6 weeks into treatment. It's never changed. The participants were using a variety of different antiretroviral regimens. Just under half, 48%, were taking an integrase inhibitor, most commonly, and that's mine, Alitogravir or dolutegravir, that's mine. 46% were using a non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor. If you remember that from last week, that was the NNRTI, most commonly ripivaline, talked about that one last week, and 6% were on a protease inhibitor, most often darunavir. About 70% included tenofovir, boy, these names, disoproxil fumarate, or tenofovir, I can't pronounce this, I can't even do it, with the remainder taking abacavir or lamivudine, or abacavir/lamivudine. So that's me, lamivudine and dolutegravir. For the first 48 weeks, 636 participants were randomly assigned to either remain on the same daily treatment regimen or take their current medications for 4 days consecutive, Monday to cut off. I don't know, cut off. It was probably Monday through Thursday, and then like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they would not take anything. 3 days off schedule for 48 weeks. At the International AIDS Society Conference on HIV Science in 2019, Dr. Roland Landman of something Bichat in Paris reported that 95.6% of people in the 4-day treatment group and 97.2% in the daily treatment maintained the daily treatment group maintained an undetectable viral load at 48 weeks. So, I mean, roughly the same. It didn't seem to change, the fact that they're all staying undetectable, showing that the intermittent regimen was non-inferior to continuous treatment. That was basically the same. Virological failure occurred in 1.9% of the people in the 4-day group and 1.3% of those in the daily group. Still totally comparable. The rate of treatment failure did not differ according to the antiretroviral drug class, nor was there a difference in the frequency of viral blips above 50. So basically, it's literally the same. Despite these promising findings, there has been some concern about the durability of the 4-day approach, given that drug resistance can emerge over time. So at Cruz, Landman presented follow-up results after participants had been followed for 96 weeks. At that point, 92.7% of the people who were initially randomized to the 4-day group and 96.1% of those who switched from daily to intermittent treatment still had an undetectable viral load. Again, these numbers are still very good. Virological failure rates rose to 4.2% and 2.0% respectively. However, in the 4-day group, this differed according to the drugs used, 5.3% for those taking NNRTIs and 2% for those taking integrase inhibitors. I don't think I have either of those, right? I have dolutegravir where is it? Oh yeah, it's an integrase inhibitor. And then I take, I don't know what lamivudine is, I can't remember. Anyways, but still those numbers are really small, 5.3%, 2.4%. So new drug resistance mutations were detected in 3 of the 6 people who experienced virological failure. So 3 people out of 600 and something before week 48. And in 4 of the 13 who did so between weeks 48 and 96. All but 1 developed some M184 mutation that can confer resistance to lamivudine. The 4 people taking ripivaline developed an E138K NNRTI resistant mutation. 1 person on raltegravir developed an N155H integrase mutation. But regardless, the groups or the people that did have those mutations and resistance were very, very small. Treatment was generally safe and well tolerated using either study. There were few differences between the study groups in the rate or type of adverse events, although people in the 4-day group saw a small but statistically significant improvement in kidney function. So less Less medication and some people proved that it was better for the kidneys. Well, that makes sense. Landman noted that another study presented at last year's CROI showed that people on the 4-day regimen were no more likely to have detectable HIV in their semen. Funny that they should keep bringing up semen, compared with people on continuous treatment, which has important implications for viral transmission, right? Because we need to talk about more about where it's coming from. And it's not coming from women and their wetness. It's coming from semen. Important implications for viral transmission, talking specifically about how semen is a large component of that. Hello. The efficacy on the 4 days on, 3 days on, just meaning how well did the medication work, was sustained at 96 week with a low rate of virological failure, particularly among people using these integrase inhibitors. Landman, which is what I have, Landman and colleagues concluded this strategy reduced the cost of treatment and represents a real workable alternative to daily maintenance therapy. So this has been going on since these studies were concluded in 2021. I mean, I don't hear anybody telling me that their doctors are pushing this or anything, but I do know people that have had success with holidays and not taking their medication every day. And then when their doctors find out and they know that they've stayed undetectable, they have shared with me that their doctor said, okay, well, let's just continue. You can continue to do this and we'll just monitor you and see how it goes. So because I don't know, I got a little spooked by somebody who wrote something about mutations and you're not going to notice something right away. It's going to take time. And I do know that I could go back to another kind of medication if I did have some kind of mutation, which you can clearly see these mutations are the percentages are very low of that actually happening. But all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this every 72 hours. Maybe I should do every other day. So I did kind of this last I'd say week. Yeah, it was this last week. I started doing every other day for 4 days, if this makes sense. And then I'm like, no, I'll just take it the 3rd day. And then I'll do every other day, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 2 days off, 1 day on, back and forth like that. So I'm kind of taking 3 pills a week and maybe 4 pills a week versus, definitely only 3. Because I don't know, it just scared me a little bit. So that's where I'm at right now with it. I wish it didn't scare me a little bit, but it did a little bit. So, and like my friend Misty Diane says, so if you do this experiment and all turns out well, those people will just go away. They won't say anything. They won't say, oh my God, you were right, Jennifer. That didn't it didn't change. You're still undetectable. Wow, that's incredible. I really am wrong. I thought for sure you would, have a mutation or you'd have a high viral load at this point. It's true. Those people are not going to come back at me and say wow, you're right. Nothing changed. But the people that, that are just watching and waiting just to see what happens, maybe for their own, treatment, if they are just out of curiosity, those will be the people that I'll hear from, and they'll either say that's great or whatever. But there's naysayers, and like Misty Diana was saying as well, obviously that's going to happen, which I understand. There's going to be people that are going to err more towards fear and science and I just read those results. The percentages are so low of any kind of mutation happening. And I know that one is not an on-off, one day, one every 24 hours. It's a 4-day on, 3-day off. So there could be something to that as well. So we'll just see. I've never messed with this before. It's the first time ever. My results will be very, very telling. I mean, maybe I'm going to have a viral load. I don't know. Dude, my daughter's called me 3 times in the last 5 minutes. Joey, I'm not answering for a reason. She knows I do my podcast on Sundays. Anyway, it's going to be a long wait. I still have 2 whole damn months until I'm going to have my blood drawn. So yeah, still got to wait, but I feel fine. And I know someone said, well, you wouldn't feel it right away. Which is true. Nothing would be noticeable right away, but And like Misty Diane said as well, like, so if it goes up, so be it. Start taking it every day again, which is true. Like, I will. And if there's issues after that, which is really unlikely, but there could be, there are many other options. And I'm would probably switch anyways to, Cabenuva or Sunlenca at some point anyway. Like, I want to do that. I don't really want to be taking this pill every day. I like the idea of the injection every 6 months. Well, who wouldn't? I mean, that's like the best. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. And I'm going to wrap this up. And I hope you all are well. Have a great week. I've got a regular week coming up, and then I've got Monday off. It's really nice. And then I have 4 days on, and then a week, and then I have like an entire week off. Like Thanksgiving week is a whole week off, and it's like the best. I'm so excited. Okay, you guys, love you. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Bye until next week. Bye, YouTube.